episode on Two Puerto Ricans and a Black Girl. Today's Girl Talk is how do you deal with forgiveness? I am the Dope Widow.
Hi guys, I am the Love Guru.
Hey guys, and I am me, the Lifestyle Diva. Welcome to this episode.
Okay.
How you ladies doing?
Hi ladies.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. How was your week? You all went back to work this week. How was that?
Yes, we did. A little stressful.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot stressful?
It's a lot to do.
The routine of things, you know.
Yeah. So, of course, I always have a question.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like a dual question. So, the topic is forgiveness. So, what does it take to allow you to forgive, and are you able to forgive? Go around the room.
Do you want to start?
What does it take to forgive?
What does it take to allow you to forgive? Yeah.
This topic is a little bit of a hard topic. I thought I was kind of like really forgiving, but then I guess a question with a question is like, what is really forgiveness? So for me, it's kind of hard to forgive someone if you truly hurt me. It's really, really hard to fully forgive them. And what it takes is for you to kind of prove to me that you really are apologetic. Like if the act keeps happening over and over, are you truly apologetic, or you kind of just throwing that word loosely? Forgive me, or I'm sorry, or I apologize. So for me, I need to see it in action. If even if I'm hurt, if I see that you're genuine and you haven't gone back to that same action or anything along those lines, then maybe I can forgive you in time, but things stay in the back of my head. So that's a question I have for you guys a little later. What about you?
For me, forgiveness means letting go.
Yes.
It took me a long time to get to that point. I was a very grudgeful person. Like I held grudges with people when they did hurt me. So it was really difficult for me to let go. But then I realized that at the end of the day, the people that have hurt me have moved on and have continued to live their life and they rebuild their life. And I'm the one stuck in that space because I'm holding that grudge. And they're okay. They've moved on. They're living. They're happy. And I'm the one that's upset. I'm the one that's sad. I'm the one that's still holding that negativity, that toxicity in my life. So I'm like, I had to learn to let go. So for me, I feel like forgiveness is letting go. Because in essence, it's not for them, it's for me.
I was talking with Gigi earlier about that, and it sounds so cliche that forgiveness is not for them, it's for me. But it's so true, because that toxic energy and those negative vibes, they get in your spirit and in your person, and it just makes you a nasty person. It makes you have stress. It makes anxieties. It makes you have illnesses built up. You get high blood pressure. You know, it does a lot of medical, physical things to you that you need to let it go. And sometimes you just have to walk in forgiveness and just walk, not on your own will. Like just saying, this is something that you can't do on your own. You know what I mean? Like you can't even think about it. You just have to be like, every time it comes up, like, I'm just going to keep moving. I'm just going to keep living. I'm just going to keep forgiving without even ceasing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I think about it.
It's just a hard space to be in.
It is.
Like, how do you really let go when someone really deep hurt you? Like, it's a rooted hurt. You know, it's not like a superficial, oh, she talked about me behind my back and I'm hurt. No, when it's really deep rooted and they've hurt you to the core, like, how do you like separate and say, you know what, I'm going to forgive this person and just move on. Like, how do you get over it when, and I'm saying this because what if you don't have, you know, when you forgive people, sometimes you have the opportunity to talk to them and say, listen, you've hurt me in this way, and this is why I feel this way. But what about when you don't have the opportunity to talk to that person that has hurt you? Like, you out. Like, some people call it closure. Like, I'm not a person that needs closure, but sometimes when I do feel hurt, I want to discuss it. Like, I want to say, listen, you've done X, Y, and Z, and it hurt me. Like, and not because I want them to fix it, but because I want them to realize that this is what they did, and I don't want them to repeat the behavior to someone else. Mm-hmm. So how do we handle that when we don't have the opportunity to talk to that person?
I think that you're not going to be given the opportunity all the time, because sometimes somebody could have hurt you that's now they're deceased, they're gone, or they've moved somewhere else and you're not able to talk to them. It's just that you have to be able to deal with it in yourself. Like, say that I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I don't even know. That just sounds so like, I don't know how to explain it, but you just have to continue to live your life and stop dwelling in and not dwell in it. Because knowing that these people have moved on, for me, is the way that I can get through. It's like, I know they've moved on. They're living their life. So why am I here festering?
And this angry.
Yeah, and this misery.
They moved on and they didn't think about it, not even for a second, how they hurt me. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to forgive that, but then, like I said, I realized that at the end of the day, the forgiveness is not about them, it's about me, and about me feeling better, and about me moving forward. So sometimes, you know, you just have to let go, and you just have to just move on, because, and I've also thought about, you know, it's not about them, it's about how I react to their behavior.
It really, I mean, at the end, like we keep saying, both of us keep going back and forth saying that. That's what it is. The bottom line is the forgiveness is for you, because you are the one who's living in that, who keeps thinking about it, who keeps saying, oh, they did this to me, oh, they did that to me. It's like, okay, they did this to you, they did that to you. Suppose they don't apologize. Mm-hmm. Suppose you see them every day and they don't apologize. Are you going to be sitting there angry every day and they're still doing what they're doing? No, you have to live your life. You have children, you have a job. You put all that negative energy on your family now. You know, you put it on your coworkers. You're nasty to your coworkers. You're cold to people that you meet. I don't want to be that type of person. So that's why I know I just have to keep moving.
So I have a story for you guys along those lines of how it is, forgiveness is for you. So there was someone who I dated long time ago. Lucifer, you know, you guys will be very familiar because it's going to be a part of the conversation for many of our topics.
Oh, Lucifer.
And I left that relationship, and it might have been about maybe 15, 16 years. And I still held on to this hatred towards this individual because they were very abusive. It really just so belittling. And my self-esteem was at a complete zero. I didn't think that I was pretty enough. I mean, just the whole mentalness of that whole relationship, not thinking I was worthy, good enough. But years had passed, and my heart was so hardened toward this person. And I knew that they had moved on, and I knew that they were married, and they had a family. And I'm like, damn, you're living the vida loca, and I'm still, and I had moved on too, but still in the back of my mind, I was like, damn, this individual like really did a number on me. I wonder do they feel any type of remorse for how they treated me? You know, and still carrying that hatred. So to make a long story short, they found me at one of my jobs. At first I was like, yo, don't this stalker did not find me. Yes. And the first thing was, listen, I just need to, they wanted to apologize. So they had been carrying on this guilt for all of these years about the way that they treated me. And I don't know if it's because they were married, they were in a different place, they found God, they had girls, daughters. I don't know what the situation was. But that situation had been bothering them. And that closure, He needed to say he was sorry to me for his own sake. And immediately, the minute that he apologized, I swear to you, instantly, that hatred and that weight that I had had on my shoulders for so many years instantly disappeared. And the conversation became so light that we were able to kind of converse for a little bit, laugh a little bit, and then that chapter was closed. Like, don't ever call me again. And I never heard from that person again. Gave me his number. I was like, okay, and we're done. But he needed that closure. And in some sense, in the back of my head, since I was kind of constantly, not constantly, but once in a while was reminded about that situation and never let go of those feelings towards that person, instantly it was removed. And it's very freeing for somebody to apologize to you and you actually really forgive them. It's a very freeing feeling.
So let me ask you, Gigi, did you feel after he apologized that you also needed that for some type of closure for yourself? Not that you were looking for any type of closure before he found you, but after he spoke to you and apologized, did you feel like, okay, now I also have a sense of closure?
I did feel like I had a sense of closure, because this was the first individual who I dated, and then I dated for so many years. So there was a lot of history there that actually made me the individual who I was in other relationships, right? Kind of made me the person who might have been kind of quick-tempered or maybe a little closed or very short, because of that experience that I had. And so in some sense, I think I needed that closure so that I can move on, even though I did move on. But I think mentally and spiritually, even though it's not at the forefront of your thinking, we've mentioned before, certain things kind of trigger those emotions and those feelings again, even though you don't think about it every day. But I think I needed that to finally have that closure for myself within my own spirit, for nothing else.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny, as you were speaking, I was like, why do we allow people who we haven't been with for years or whatever occupy real estate in our spaces, in our minds and hearts, when we could be given that space to someone who we are with now, to our children, giving it to ourselves, to our physical well-beings, to our working out, to our projects that we're in. We're giving them space that they don't need to occupy.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You know, and I'm as I'm saying it, I'm just thinking about that, because honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, I still do that right now to this day. I think about two people, particularly one who I think about all. I'm like, you know what this mother, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. Not that I've put my life on hold by no stretch of the imagination.
Not
like,
at all.
I'm doing what I need to do, but it is still got some kind of real estate in my mind, where my mind goes to that and thinks like, oh, you know, this person never said sorry for this, or never said why they did this. And it's like, why am I still thinking about that? So as you said that, I was like, I gotta let that they can't occupy that space. I don't have time for that.
It is so freeing. It is so freeing.
Yeah.
It's freeing, but it's difficult at the same time.
It's work, right?
Yeah, it's work. It lets that go when someone has, like, really, like I said, like, it's a deep-rooted hurt. Not that superficial hurt, but that deep-rooted hurt. And they haven't apologized, or not even apologized, because sometimes we don't need an apology. Sometimes we need an acknowledgement.
Acknowledge what you did.
That I did X, Y, and Z, and I don't need you to apologize. I just need you to be accountable. Self-accountable for what you did, and know that it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know. Like I said, like it was really difficult for me to get beyond that space where I needed someone to acknowledge it. Right now, I don't need anyone to acknowledge what they've done.
Good for you.
For me, I have to let go. It's about the way I react to what
you're right.
Me, and that's the only thing that I can control. I can't control what they do. I can't control how they act. So that's why I've learned to let go. I know that I can just control me. And so that's what I've been working on, controlling my behavior and controlling how I react to other people's selfish behavior towards me.
You know that, I mean, at all these points we make it like it's just light bulbs. It's just like, I know, like, we can only control our narrative, like you said, you know what I mean? And now that I know that I can only do that, then why am I allowing this person to still occupy even a morsel of space in my, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's when you love somebody, it's like you want them to acknowledge hurts that they did to you. It's like, you know, I loved your ass and you didn't even say acknowledge this, but it's like, you know what, maybe they're not, so you just got to move on and say, I'm going to be at peace with myself and with the situation.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The word love.
Yeah.
You love someone, like, you want them to realize, like, damn, I loved you, or I love you. Like, how could you do that to me? How could you hurt me in such a manner and not acknowledge that you hurt me? Like, did I ever mean anything to you? Did our relationship ever mean anything to you? Whether it's a friendship or in a significant other relationship or even a family member. Like, does our relationship mean anything to you? Do you value it, or did you value it at some point? You know, because if there was value in that relationship, then, you know what, I would immediately recognize, you know what, Gigi, I'm sorry, I did X, Y, and Z, because I value our friendship, I value our sisterhood. Just like you, Michelle, if there's something that I did and I know that I did, I value our friendship. If you mention it to me, I'm definitely going to be quick to say, I'm sorry. You know, because
and then, you know what, sometimes my perception of what you said could be not what you meant. So you know, this is why I like to come to people and say things, is because you might have said something that I took as offensive, but you didn't mean it that way. And you could, and then I could be like, oh, I didn't, you know, realize. But sometimes that's what we want. We just want people to acknowledge that this situation, what they did, and then give us the opportunity to say, oh, I didn't mean it that way. You know, you could be holding on to hurts from somebody that they didn't even mean. What, you know, they didn't even mean to hurt you, but you took it that way and it hurt you. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say, sometimes we may look at a situation a certain way, and so we spend all these years angry at this person because of our own emotions.
Right.
Even, and I'm sitting here, we're talking, and I'm thinking about another ex, and I'm like, damn, I really hated this dude because he hurt me. But it wasn't like an intentional hurt. It's just that the relationship, looking back, the relationship met its course, right? But because they hurt me, my heart, the relationship met its course. But I didn't want it to meet its course. They wanted to meet its course. And so you carry those emotions, but is that reason enough to really be upset at someone because they hurt your feelings? I feel like there's different degrees of.
I think you're well within your right to feel the way you feel. It's just that as adults, we should be able to go to each other and say, I felt this way. What did you mean by it? And then they can explain themselves, because sometimes, like we're saying right here, somebody could have said something, they didn't mean to hurt you. You took it as a hurt, as a something disrespectful, but it wasn't that way. I was just talking to a family member this weekend for like 2 hours on the phone. We were talking about, you know how family drama is sometimes. And I was like, you know what, even with family, you have to love some people from a distance for a while. It can't be in your space. You love them, but they need to be over there. Mm-hmm. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have to make sure that you always taking care of self.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all need to always take care of our space.
Yes.
Like, that is the most critical thing for us. We cannot allow the negative, the toxic, all these things that don't serve us into our space.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at an age where, like, I think we're done with that. I think as far as me, I mentioned that last week, like, I'm looking for a man who brings me peace. That's what I want. Like, I'm at this time in my life, like, you know, I'm not a spring chicken. I mean, I'm not moving backwards. I'm moving forwards. I'm moving forward. I'm getting older. Like, I'm looking for peace. I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for someone who's also looking for the same things that I'm looking for peace, stability. you know, I want someone who is about their goals, because that's where I am, you know, so that's what I'm looking for. So protecting our space is really important at this day and age for us, I think.
Yeah, and when you just said you're looking for someone, I'm along those lines. I'm looking for someone who knows me and knows that if they said X, Y, Z or did X, Y, Z, that I would feel some type of way about that. You know what I mean? So I want somebody who is in tune. We always, you know, want to make sure we get to make sure we get with somebody who's in tune with our emotions and our feelings and considerate of them.
Exactly. Yeah, but it has to take someone who really wants to put in the work.
Right.
Because they could be in tune just because they want to get you. And then once they get you, they're not willing to put in the work to get you and to learn every part of you, so that they don't trigger the things that will make you angry, or the things that will hurt you, or the things that would make you feel some type of way towards them. Like, you know, there's a lot of men, and I say men because, you know, I'm a woman, I can't speak from any other perspective, but there's a lot of men out there who their facade is to be this gentleman kind of person when you first meet them, to wine you and dine you and say all the right things, and then once they get you, they're not willing to put in all the work. You know, so we have to be very careful about who we allow into our space. And that's why I say protecting our space is like high priority for me.
It is 100%. Let me ask you ladies a question. Are you receptive to constructive criticisms? Because some people can't take constructive criticisms. Like, they're like, because you could be doing something and you don't even are not aware that you're doing it, and somebody comes to you and bring it to your attention, and you're like, you know, are you ladies open to the constructive criticism?
I am.
That's part of being able to forgive, because, you know, you can take, you know, what they're saying to you, you could say, oh, okay.
I am, because I'm not always perfect at what I do. So sometimes I need someone to say, hey, you know, you could have done this a different way.
Right.
And maybe I didn't see it that way, so I did it my way. But if someone gives me their perspective, their insight, absolutely. As long as it's not condescending and it's not rude and makes me feel less than who I am, absolutely. I'm totally open to constructive criticism.
And I'm one who normally will say, I'll normally would say, listen, if I say something that's a little off, or you feel a certain way because of something I said or something I did, please let me know. So I'm one who kind of puts that out there so that I can correct it, because when you're in a relationship, you don't want to keep doing something that offends your partner or that makes them feel a certain way or makes them feel uncomfortable. So I always say, listen, if I say something that's off, make sure you let me know.
Yeah, I try to do that as well, Gigi. Give disclaimers, like even when I'm talking to, because sometimes when we're sitting around and we're just talking amongst ourselves, and you're talking to your girlfriends, you keep it 100 with your girlfriend, and I'm like, you know, I got to give this disclaimer. I'm telling you this, LOVE, but you know what I mean? Like, bitch, you acting crazy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm definitely open to constructive criticism. Yeah, because I think that's the only way you can grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you think you know it all, then I think that
how many times do I keep talking about that? That I can't, I mean, I was gonna say a horrible word. I can't F with people who think they know everything.
Right.
With you. Like, at some point you gotta know that you don't know everything, and it's part of growing. Like, there's nothing wrong with not knowing everything or thinking that you're right every single time.
Right. That's annoying.
Yeah.
It's a turn off. It's a major turn off for me. Like, I don't even want to talk to you, because what's the purpose of me talking to you if every single time I say something, you think that your opinion is the best opinion? Your thought is the best thought. There's no other thought but your
right.
That's an empty conversation. I don't want to have empty conversations. I want to have fruitful conversations with my partner.
And you know, some people stay so angry and they can't forgive because they can't see anybody else's point of view. They only see their point of view. It is always two sides to a story. You cannot have your side of the story be the only side of the story. I mean, it's just not even realistic when it's two people involved. How are your point of view the correct point of view when it's two people involved in this situation? So I'm just like, yeah.
So let's ask you. Oh, you have a question, Jackie?
I did have a question.
Ask.
Who is the person that has been the hardest for you to forgive? Do you have someone that you can say it's like, I wanted to forgive them, but it's been so hard for me to get to this point where I can say I really have forgiven them for everything they've done to me? Like, do you have like a one person?
I have a person. And I think it's because, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I truly love this person. And so I think that when people who you really love hurt you, because your expectations are so high out of the relationship, it's hard to really forgive, if that makes any sense. Like, you'll forgive it, but then sometimes you'll still be like, damn, I can't believe this person did this for me. And as much as you want to get past it and you don't want to constantly bring it up, that was actually a question I was going to have. Do you really forgive someone, or do you constantly bring up what they've done? I accept your apology, I forgive you, but then, a couple of weeks later, you kind of bring up the same thing. And I really think it comes because you're hurt. And you can't believe, you're such disbelief that this person did this to you, that you're like, damn, I forgive you, but yo, you really did this? Like, it's, I don't know.
I think I kind of do the opposite, because the person that I'm talking about, I don't think that I brought up enough, gave acknowledgement enough to the stuff that I think that he did to me. I didn't bring it to their attention enough. And if they called or, said they wanted to hang out or do anything, I would be like, okay, and not even acknowledge, like, Negro, you hurt me. Like, and I'm still here now, going back, hanging out. We haven't even talked about that. Like, that's toxic, I think, too.
Oh, yeah. Kind of sweep it under the rug.
That's kind of like sweeping it underneath the rug. So,
do you want to, Michelle? Do you want to?
At this point, I would definitely love to, if it came to me, the acknowledgement of, I know I was messed up in this area, definitely would be receptive to it, but it's not like something that I'm waiting with bated breath for right now. Like,
so Mimi, are you a person that needs closure? The same question for you, Gigi. Are you a person that needs?
I don't.
No.
I feel like I don't, but maybe in some situations I do. But I know that I can. It's not anything that's going to hold me back. Like, some people live their lives and they can't even date or move on with their lives and go do anything because they keep they keep thinking about, this person. No, it's not going to put my life on hold by no stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't think I need closure in the sense of some people, like you said, their whole life will stop and they're constantly thinking about this, constantly thinking about that. Sometimes once in a blue moon, you're sitting, you're thinking, and something might trigger your thought about someone that did something to you. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I would love to be able, I don't need the closure, but if I'm receptive, if a conversation were to happen, if they were to call, I'm willing to talk to you. But I'm not going to lose sleep over the fact that someone hurt me. But again, I do believe it all depends on the actual relationship you have with this person.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your child, if it's a spouse, I do believe that I would need some type of a closure.
But you were in my head. Those relationships right there, those matter so much.
Yes.
Those relationships. Like, I have relationships where people have said things, or they don't like me, or I've heard and I don't give two.
Me too.
I could care less. But if it's somebody who I love, then it matters. When it's somebody who doesn't matter, you could definitely just,
let it go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what about, so we're talking about accepting forgiveness, right? Somebody comes to forgive us, blah, blah, blah. What about us? Are you guys quick to like acknowledge your faults and go to someone and say, listen, I'm sorry?
I have in this cleansing stage. I have. Go ahead, Jackie.
Too, but
I knew there was a but. I saw her face.
I can definitely acknowledge when I've done something wrong. I just think I need to take a step back and I need to revisit the conversation or the argument, think about it, and then I can come to you with a clear head and say, I'm sorry. I do recognize that I did say something that offended you or may have hurt your feelings, and I'm genuinely sorry. I just like I need to take a step back. Like, you know, the argument may happen and then I need to just step back and I need to revisit the entire situation, and then, you know, I will recognize that, yes, you know what? I'm not too proud to say I'm sorry. That I know that I am not that person that is too proud to ever apologize for something that I've done wrong.
Yeah, me either. Like I've done it with two people that I know, because just like how we have these stories of people that hurt us, in someone else's story, we're the person that hurt.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I definitely have a couple of people in particular who I know I've went to and said, you know, if I hurt you in this situation, because I'm sorry. Yeah, I've apologized a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I had to apologize.
I remember.
It's not unfortunate. It's
right. It's not. You know, that was a lack for a better word. You're right. It's not unfortunate. It was a big thing. It was a good thing to do. It felt so like a release too. Like you had something come off your shoulders.
Well, I know that I have, or maybe this has nothing to do with saying I'm sorry. Well, even like when you, with your kid or with your mate or whatever, I'm not too proud to say I'm sorry.
But
it's not a good thing to admit, but back in the day, because, you know, I'm way different now. I would, it's like I felt that you hurt me, and even if I said something that was wrong that I shouldn't have said, I probably wouldn't talk to you for a few days, get my feelings for a little while, and then maybe like sit down later and say, listen, you know, let's talk, I was wrong, you were wrong. But I'm Kiki. Sometimes I'm in my feelings for a minute, not as much as before, but when I get into that Kiki mode, it's like, you hurt me. I don't need to talk to you for a few days. But I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to acknowledge my faults.
Right.
I'm going to sit back in that same moment, if at all possible. Or that same day, or maybe that hour, but within that 24-hour period.
Right.
So that I can say, listen, you know, my bad, I'm sorry. But I don't have a problem really apologizing. I don't have that.
If you don't take ownership sometimes of those situations head on, years will go by.
Yes.
You have to take on, you know, like, I mean, years can just fly by. You'll be like, okay, I'll get to it the next day. Or I'll get to it. And years have literally gone by and you haven't talked to people. Family members haven't talked for years. And you only see each other at a funeral or something happened. Then everybody's like, oh, let's, you know, we gotta do better. It's like, yeah, life is too short. Life is way too short.
To communicate, because I mean, recently, maybe like last year, someone who's close to me, they hurt me with their words. They hurt me with their actions. And I don't think it was like an intentional hurt, but I took it as such. Mm-hmm. And damn, maybe I haven't grown that much. So I kind of like shut down. I'm like thinking back. I kind of like shut down. And I was very short with them. My communication with them was just a need to be basis. Question, answer, boom, that was it. There was no real, I don't want to say emotions, but there wasn't anything else attached to that. It was almost like business, where it shouldn't be because it's family. Mm-hmm. But they hurt me so much that I just couldn't, I couldn't get past it. But then I couldn't get past it so much because they didn't see how they were wrong. And then that almost like ignited more anger in me. because it's like, yo, how could you not see how you're acting? It's so clear. But in taking that approach, it was a bad approach because the person was really hurt.
But it's clear in our eyes. It's not clear to them.
It wasn't clear, but no matter how anyone would go to them and explain the situation, they just couldn't see.
Because it wasn't happening to them. That's the reason. When people hurt you, they don't see it because they're not actually being hurt. They're the ones that are doing the hurting. So they don't see it. The only way they see it is when it's happening physically to them. When you are the one that's hurting them, then they will say, oh, well, this is how I feel hurt. But because they're doing the hurt, they don't put themselves in your shoes. So no, they won't see it.
Yeah, but the person did go through, they were real, I guess, remorseful. They had time to really think about it. And my approach was horrible. And thinking back, I'm like, yeah, I should have just sat down and kind of just had this conversation and kind of just said how I felt. But I kind of felt like sometimes you feel like you're talking to like a wall and things don't register. But I definitely want to communicate, I guess, better and be able to say, listen, I'm sorry I offended you, but you also offended me. Like, what's up? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to be better at forgiveness. Like I said, I have to forgive for my sanity, not for anyone else. I'm at the place in my life where, yes, I do consider other people's feelings, but I'm living for me right now. Like, I lived so many years for other people and for making other people comfortable. And not to say that I'm not trying to make my significant other comfortable if they should come along. But right now, I'm living to make myself comfortable. I'm the most important person right now. And that's just what it is. And right now, I'm taking the time to be selfish about me.
It's nothing wrong with that. That just goes back to our last conversation we had about being whole. If you're not whole, you can't love anybody else wholly. You know, you loving them not 100%. So it's always still something missing out of that. So yeah, I think it's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to. It's been many years where I haven't loved myself completely, and I've made allowances for other people, and I've allowed other people to be put first before me. And I've come to realize that, you know what? No, I'm first, and then they come after me.
But doesn't it feel good when you start doing those changes and you can feel the difference and see the difference in yourself? You're like, woo!
Good.
It does.
In a way. But when those people don't understand that and they make you feel bad for loving yourself first, it doesn't feel good. Like, those selfish people, Jackie. I'm sorry?
I said, explain what you mean by that.
Like, okay, I can say, you know what, I'm putting myself first. Like, I really don't care what anyone else thinks. Like, I'm first. And if you can't understand that, that's too bad. And then they make you feel bad and say you're selfish because you're putting yourself before them. Like, you're thinking about you instead of thinking about them first. Gotcha. And like, you know, in relationships and in everything, I've learned that God is first. He's even before my children. He's even before my parents. He's before anything. And then I come in. And then my children come in. And then my significant other comes in. And some people don't think that that's the way. They feel like they're first, God is next, the children are next, and then you're last. No, and I don't agree with that. God is first. God is first in everything that I do. Like, I ask him permission before I do anything, and then I come in.
Well, I agree with you 100%. The source, the power, he has to be first. You know, that where we get the energy, where we get our strength, where we get everything from, that has to be first. But where I think it comes, where people think you being selfish, is I think it's all in wording. Because when you said you said I don't care, it's not that you don't care. But you're choosing to put self first. You say, I don't, I think when we say things to people, we just got to think about the words that we use sometimes when we delivering it, because everything you said was nothing wrong with it. If a person really takes the time to be like, open up their ears and say, you know what, they're just loving on themselves now. They taking care of themselves.
The thing is, Michelle, people don't, I don't mean to cut you off, but when
you're fine.
When people don't put God first, they don't understand.
That is true, Jeff. That's very true.
In their life, the way
they don't even understand that thought process, right?
I don't expect anyone to have the same walk that I have with God, because everyone has their separate walk with God. But when they don't put God first, when they don't deem God first in their life, they don't understand when you deem God first in your life. Right. So then that becomes like a threat to them. Like, how could you put God before me? So, sometimes that's just difficult. Like, people don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can I read something?
Absolutely.
Ready? So now that you're along those lines. It states, and whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Right? So you're talking about God, like, in the forgiveness, like, if we can't forgive those people around us, how can we expect God to forgive us? Like, there's a lot of things that we've done that other people are not privy to. It's just you and God. And we go to him for forgiveness. So how can we expect for him to forgive us if we can't forgive the people who are tangible, the people who are here,
I agree 100%. I think God's going to forgive us even when we do the nastiest, dirtiest, low downest things they are. But people are not going to be, like that. But it's like, how can we ask for forgiveness and not be able to forgive others? Yeah. Because God is going to forgive us no matter what. Yeah. That's just the awesomeness of him. Mm-hmm. I know I just don't have that in me just to be able to instantaneously say, I'm going to forgive someone like that. And then sometimes I do. Sometimes I really do. I just like, you know what? I'm not even dealing with that. I'm over it and I'm done and I've moved on from it. But sometimes it takes a moment for me to, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm at that place in my life where, you know what? I'm okay. I forgive you and I'm gonna move on. You know why? Because I need to be okay for me. For you. Not for exactly. You. I need to be okay for me. And me forgiving you is making me feel okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I have to let go of that and I have to move on. The fact that I would hold on to that grudge before, it was toxic for me. Like, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wouldn't be able to think. I wouldn't be able to work, because what am I thinking about? I'm focusing on that particular situation and I wasn't able to move past from it. Whereas now, it is what it is. You hurt me. I forgive you. That's something you got to deal with, not me. I let it go. I'm over it. I'm not going to dwell on it. You know why? Because it's not that serious in my life anymore. Like, I have more serious things to think about than the nonsense that you did that hurt me. It is what it is. I'm forgiving you for me so that I can be okay. Not so that you can be okay. That's something you have to live with. You have to deal with your conscience and the hurt that you did to me that hurt me. Not me. I'm not going to carry your baggage.
Yeah. I do believe that people, you're human. At some point, doesn't matter the behavior that you show. Maybe you don't show that you're remorseful or that I don't care attitude. At some point, you're going to be faced with yourself and you're going to think, and you're going to think about the people that have hurt you or the people that you've hurt. Like, for me, it's almost impossible for you not to really sit, and if you truly, truly hurt someone, for that to come in your head and you say, dang, I've really messed up. But then sometimes things are just so far gone that people may not even know how to come to you and say, look, I'm sorry. Because they've dug that hole so deep, they may not know how to face another person to apologize.
Right.
And so, we have to think of it that way as well. When people may not apologize for the thing, maybe they are acknowledging it, but just don't know how to. And that comes back to that prideful thing. Mm-hmm. Too much pride, and they cannot say, I'm sorry, even if they know that they're wrong. And sometimes people only need to hear, I'm sorry, those 2 little words. And everything just becomes okay.
Those 2 little words go so long.
Yes.
I mean, you don't need I don't need no long dissertation about what happened and all that. I just need you to say, I'm sorry.
That's it.
I don't need you to explain why you sorry. I think it's the stupidest thing for you to be like, okay, tell me why you sorry now.
Right.
Like, give me a break. Like, I know what I'm sorry for. I'm apologizing for it. Why I gotta give you a rundown, bullet point by bullet point? Okay, I'm sorry that I untie your sneaker. I'm sorry that I tied your 2 sneakers together and you fell. Like, really? Like, grip. Like, grow up.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, who am I talking to here?
Right.
You know, and
I think at the end of the day, your physical, what you were talking about, Jackie, the fact of acknowledging this, being able to forgive, it's good for your own physical well-being.
yes.
You have to just be able to forgive, because it brings on so much illness that it's like, what am I doing to myself? Now I'm damaging myself because of this foolishness over here. No, that can't happen. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. I forgive for me, because at the end of the day, they have moved on. They're living.
Yes, I was
They're
gonna say.
smiling, and they're, you know what? They're not even giving me a second thought. While I'm sitting here pondering on what they said, how they treated me, how they offended me, I'm the one that's crying. I'm the one that's hurt. I'm the one that's spending sleepless nights, and they're not. So I have to forgive for me so that I can move forward with my life. You know?
Absolutely.
I've adopted that attitude and that behavior.
I did too. I'm right with you, sister. You know the 2 October birthdays are the same here.
Lord Jesus. But I agree with that too. I agree with that as well. You have to. You got to live your life. You can't hold on to things that you can't change. Can't change it. What's the whole purpose if you can't even go back and change that? But it's something about the affairs of the heart. When somebody hurts your heart, it is so hard to get over it. It is so hard to get, and it doesn't matter how many years can go by. Lucifer, child, you know how many people been after Lucifer?
Right.
But still, that was the first, the first person, I guess, that I, back to that, you really love them, and you carried that with you for so many years, and I'm good now. I mean, way good. But you just gotta let things go.
Yeah. It's funny. I have it's similar to what you mentioned with Lucifer. My
Lord Jesus, that poor boy's name. I'm like cursing him. I'm cursing him, right? Lord Jesus. Go ahead.
my daughter's father. We didn't have a great relationship, and he was really super mean to me, and he hurt me in indescribable ways and things that I would never want to relive, because that was a very terrible and sad time for me. But it's funny, when he came back into the picture and he wanted to meet his child for the first time, we sat and we had dinner, and I would never forget that he didn't allow me to talk. He said, before you say anything, I want to say this. I never looked for my child, because I knew that having a baby with you were such a responsible person. I knew that my child would be okay. And he said, and I want you to forgive me for not being there for my child for 21 years, because this is when he tried to come back into her life, for 21 years. And I just want to ask you for your forgiveness. And I'm telling you that at that moment, just like Gigi said, like everything just went away.
Right.
It does.
Because he acknowledged the hurt and the pain that he put me through for more than 21 years. Because during my pregnancy, he treated me terribly. So the fact that he just acknowledged it for a moment and apologized for it, it was like the clouds and the heavens opened up, and it was like, that moment that you have, that aha moment. I was like, my God. And let me tell you something. Before that time, I prayed that God would allow me to see that moment. And it took 21 years.
Jesus.
But God allowed me to see and be in that moment. And you know what? He allowed me to forgive him.
And he allowed it to happen when you were able to say, you know what, I forgive, and I just received the forgiveness.
I did.
If it was maybe years earlier, you might have been, you know.
No, I probably would. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have
But
forgiven.
at that moment was the right moment.
It was the right moment. And you know what I did tell him in return? I said, you know what, I do forgive you. And I just thank you for making me the best thing in the world, a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing better than to be a mom.
Right.
And so, I mean, I moved on from that. I forgave him. I moved on for that. Are we friends? No. Do we talk? No. But God gave me that closure. Not that I needed it, but I needed him to acknowledge that he hurt me all those years and that he was sorry for it.
Hmm. Well, on that note, that was awesome. That's what it's all about, being able to
Forgive,
accept, and to forgive.
Yeah, because it has to be the same way. We can't be selfish and think, you know, I want people to apologize to me, but we also have to be
Absolutely
able to reciprocate that and acknowledge when we're wrong and ask somebody's forgiveness as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll be back Thursday, the 24th at 7:30, guys.
Okay.
Join us back here.
Okay, on where?
Two Puerto Ricans and a Black Gurl.